Welcome to the Zombie Story Zone, the home of chilling, spine-tingling tales of the undead. Tonight, we bring you a thrilling new story that will take you on a ride like no other, the New Year Party Train. It's a night meant for celebration. But when the clock strikes midnight, it's not just the start of a new year. It's the beginning of an unimaginable nightmare. As we dive into this terrifying journey, we want to remind you to hit the like button if you enjoy the story, subscribe to the channel for more spine-chilling content, and press the bell icon so you never miss a story from the Zombie Story Zone. If you like what you hear, share it with your friends, spread the fear, and we want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think of tonight's tale and how we can make the channel even better. Your feedback is what keeps us going. So sit back, relax, and prepare yourself for a ride into terror. This is the Zombie Story Zone.
Trying to hide, uncover the fright in the Zombie Story Zone. We'll survive the night.
It was supposed to be a night of celebration, a fresh start to a brand new year. The train, the New Year Party Train, was meant to carry passengers from the heart of the city to the outskirts, where fireworks lit up the sky and music filled the air. For some, it was just a means to an end, the quickest route to a New Year's Eve destination. But for others, it was more than that. It was a night of debauchery, of fun, of leaving behind the mistakes of the past and ushering in hope for the future. The guests, a mix of strangers, friends, and lovers, boarded the train in excitement. The atmosphere electric with anticipation. Champagne corks popped, laughter echoed through the stations, and the flashing neon lights danced in their eyes as the train departed. But as the train began its journey, something sinister stirred beneath the surface, something none of the passengers could see, something that would turn their world upside down. This wasn't just a party train. It was a death train. The train, sleek and futuristic, rumbled through the countryside, its steel wheels clicking on the tracks, a rhythm of excitement that drowned out the growing silence outside. Inside, the party was in full swing. People were dancing in the aisles, laughter mixed with the sound of clinking glasses. The DJs in the lounge car spun the hottest tracks, while others filled the dining car with conversation. In one corner of the train, a group of friends stood, celebrating their first New Year together. There was Alex, the carefree spirit, who never took life too seriously. Sarah, his girlfriend, who had a bit more caution in her step, but was excited for the adventure ahead. Derek, the loner, who had always been more into the dark side of life, preferring horror movies over romantic comedies. And Maya, a bubbly, outgoing woman who wore her optimism like a crown. "It's going to be the best year ever," Maya said, taking a swig from her champagne glass. Nothing could ruin this night. But little did she know, something already had. Out the window, the sky seemed darker than it should have been. The stars blinked weakly through the thick clouds. Far off, the landscape was a blur of darkened trees and distant hills. There was something unsettling about the night, but no one could quite place it. Alex, always the adventurer, leaned toward the window to get a better look. "Hey, anyone else feel like this night is?" he asked, his voice catching a bit in his throat. Sarah glanced at him, a furrow on her brow. "What do you mean? It's just a storm. Nothing to worry about." But even as she spoke, the lights flickered briefly, causing the entire car to pause in a sudden, eerie silence. A strange, cold wind seemed to slip through the cracks, sending a chill down their spines. "Is it getting colder in here?" Derek asked, glancing around the room. "I swear I just saw something out there jumping in the trees." "You're just drunk," Maya laughed, punching him lightly in the arm. But even she couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The night wore on, and the party continued. But beneath the laughter and music, an unsettling sense of dread began to creep in. More passengers complained of a cold, unnatural breeze sweeping through the train. The flickering lights grew more frequent, and then, without warning, the train suddenly lurched to a halt, throwing everyone off balance. A voice crackled over the loudspeakers, "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. We have encountered an unforeseen obstacle on the tracks. We will be stationary for a few moments. Please refrain from leaving your seats." The passengers grumbled in frustration, but most believed it was a simple technical glitch, nothing out of the ordinary. The train had stopped many times before, but this time, there was no sound of the usual rumbling engine. A few minutes passed, and then an unnatural noise cut through the air. It wasn't the screeching of metal on metal, nor the hum of electricity. No, this was something far darker, something that sounded more like a growl, a low, guttural growl, like the rumblings of a beast in the night. And then screams. It came from the rear of the train, the kind of scream that could only be described as primal, filled with fear and terror. The sound sent a shockwave through the passengers, and everyone stood, frozen in place, unsure of what to do. The train lights flickered once more, and then, the worst possible thing happened. The power went out. Darkness swallowed the train. The air was thick with tension. The sounds of terrified whispers and hurried footsteps filled the space. The train was plunged into an abyss of blackness, and yet, in the distance, a single sound grew louder and clearer, scratching. It was coming from the walls, the windows, the floorboards. Something was trying to break in. Alex, Sarah, Derek, and Maya huddled together, trying to stay calm in the chaos. They could hear shuffling footsteps approaching their compartment, followed by more of those horrible growls. "What is that?" Sarah whispered, clutching Alex's arm. "I don't know," Alex replied, his voice shaking. "But we need to get out of here, now." As they moved toward the door, the screeching sound grew louder. The door to the next car burst open, and they saw it, the first of them. A creature, grotesque and twisted, its skin pale and decaying. Its eyes were empty sockets, but its mouth, wide and bloodstained, snapped hungrily at the air. A zombie. No, not just one. As the door opened wider, more of them shuffled into view, dozens of them, all in various states of decomposition. They had once been people. They had once been passengers, just like everyone else on the train. But now they were something else entirely. "Run!" Derek shouted. And run they did, as the creatures closed in. The train car was suddenly a maze of terror, with each compartment filled with the stench of death and decay. The group darted through the hallways, knocking on doors, begging people to wake up, to help. But no one responded. It was too late for them. They reached the front of the train, hoping to find the conductor, hoping to find some sort of safety. But when they broke into the control room, they found the conductor, or what was left of him, his body slumped over the controls, his neck twisted at an unnatural angle. "We're stuck," Alex said, his voice barely a whisper. "Not if we can make it to the engine," Maya said. "There has to be another way to stop this." The four of them began to sprint toward the engine. Each car they passed was more nightmarish than the last. In some, the zombies had completely overrun the space, feasting on the living, while in others, only the empty remnants of a party remained. Drinks spilled on the floor, confetti scattered in the aisles. It was a macabre sight, and the air was thick with the stench of death and decay. Finally, they reached the engine car, but it was locked. "We need to get in there," Derek shouted, slamming his fist against the door. Suddenly, a high-pitched screech filled the air, followed by the deafening roar of the creatures behind them. They could hear the scratching and growling coming closer, their gnarled fingers scraping against the walls. Alex turned to face the others. "We fight, or we die trying." With a grim resolve, they took what they could find, makeshift weapons, pieces of broken glass, steel bars, and braced themselves for the oncoming onslaught. The door to the engine car opened. But as the group made their final stand, something unexpected happened. The creatures, despite their relentless hunger, hesitated. It wasn't them they were after. It was the train. The four of them entered the engine room, only to find the true horror behind the nightmare. The train was not malfunctioning. It had been hijacked by the infected. A single figure stood in the engine room, watching them with cold, empty eyes. The conductor, but not anymore. He had been turned, now leading the zombie horde. "You've all been part of the experiment," he hissed. "A test to see if we can take it to the next level." Alex, Sarah, Derek, and Maya knew what they had to do. The train was going to crash, and they could either let it happen or fight for survival. The four of them fought, desperately trying to stop the nightmare from taking full control. They fought for the train. They fought for their lives. And as the train hurtled toward an unknown future, one thing was clear. The night had only just begun. The countdown to the new year was almost over. But for some, the year would never arrive. The New Year party train. Only a memory now, lost in the wreckage. For those who survived, the terror would never leave. The zombies would rise again, and the train would always be remembered, not as a celebration of a new year, but as the night the world changed. And those few who were left to witness it would never forget.
From the graveyards to the streets, hear the whispers low. Every story's a thrill, come and let your courage show. Fight or flight, we'll unite as the horror unfolds. In the zombie story zone, adventure never grows old.